comma splice or a run-on. There are 3 typical ways that you would fix this problem, and that's what I've listed down below here. So, the first way, I'm going to go back to I guess I'll do a light green. The first way you fix a comma splice or a run-on is pretty straightforward. You put a period and a capital in between each sentence, just like we did up here. We fixed it right there. If you've ever been someone who struggles with punctuation and writing and grammar and getting things straight in your compositions, I figured something like this could be just a little refresher. Today we're going to look at how to write the very basics. How to write a compound sentence, as well as how to avoid run-on sentences and comma splice errors. These are things I see people, these are mistakes I see people making all the time in their writing. And I think it'd be fun to just sort of review some of the important foundational ideas that go into what makes a sentence work and what makes it not work. So I've just got a little something here that I put together that I'd like to just use. So here we go. Let's take a look at we're going to start today by looking at this particular passage. This is from a source, sanfranciscotravel.com, about the San Francisco 49ers. So my heading says, can you figure out the number one reason this text is so tricky? So highlights in 49er history. So I'll start by reading this, then we'll go through and determine what makes it so tricky before we move on. It's true that the 2014 move to Levi's Stadium took the 49ers from San Francisco to Santa Clara, but relocation hasn't dimmed fans' passions for their team. This franchise has a long and storied history, and it has played a critical role in the careers of some of football's greatest heroes. The San Francisco 49ers were founded in 1946. Their original home was Kezar Stadium, I hope I'm saying that right, in Golden Gate Park, affectionately known as the Niners. The team's name is a nod to the prospectors who flocked to California during the 1849 gold rush in 1970. The 49ers moved to the famed Candlestick Park, where they saw years of record-breaking success. In 1995, the team won its 5th Super Bowl, becoming the first in the league to collect that many championships. Some of the most extraordinary football players in history spent time with the 49ers, including wide receiver Jerry Rice, quarterback Joe Montana, and safety Ronnie Lott. In the upcoming 2019 season, fans are counting on quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo to lead the team to victory. That's a lot, as you could probably determine. There's a few problems here, so let's see what exactly makes this so tricky. Let's see what's missing. Okay, this is the way it should look. This is the way it doesn't typically look. As you can see, all these red locations are where the sentences were supposed to end. vernacular term, but without these periods, what you've got are a bunch of run-on sentences. You've got sentence number 1 here, and you've got sentence number 2 there. Now the problem is people oftentimes never put a period between them, so you end up with one long run-on sentence that just keeps going and going, and it doesn't flow right. Feels like it should be ending. It's a big problem I notice people using online and in various other forms of writing. Grammar's definitely seen a hit in recent years with the rise of social media and meme culture and texting culture and all that. So, a lot of different run-on sentences here that needed to be fixed for sure. Now, here's an example of a run-on sentence, and I want to talk about 3 ways you can fix a run-on sentence. So, here's our sentence right here. The San Francisco 49ers were founded in 1946. Their original home was Kezar Stadium in Golden Gate Park. Okay, so this is a run-on sentence. Well, why is that a run-on, and how can we fix it? So, in grammar, typically a sentence contains, a simple sentence contains, I'm going to put this in my notes. I created a little notes section. Let's see if I can get used to going back and forth. Okay, so a simple sentence. My handwriting's not great, sorry. Contains 3 components. It needs to have a subject. Something doing the action. Something that's doing something in the sentence. It needs to have a predicate. Oftentimes known as the verb or verb phrase in the sentence. I'll show you what I mean in a bit. And then the third one, which is the most obvious thing, is it needs to be a complete thought. And that one's pretty obvious. So when we look at this right here, the San Francisco 49ers were founded in 1946. Their original home was Kezar Stadium in Golden Gate Park. Well, I'm noticing a few things here. I see a subject, the San Francisco 49ers. I see, let's try to go back and forth between different colors here. I see a predicate, were founded. So there's our predicate. There's our subject. So we have something, a noun of some kind, doing an action. And if you combine that with the entire sentence, the San Francisco 49ers were founded in 1946. Let's get some red, just for the period. That entire thing is in fact a complete thought. So we have a subject, a predicate, and a complete thought. Now without this period here, what we're risking, I guess Procreate erases that too. What we're risking is having 2 subjects, 2 predicates, and 2 complete thoughts just mushed together. So if we look at the other side of this period, we should find another subject, another predicate, and another complete thought. So their original home is the subject. Sorry about that click. Was, even though it doesn't seem like it, guys, was is a verb. It's not an action verb. I believe it's either a helping verb or a linking verb. I can't remember. I think there might even be some overlap with those. So we have a subject, we have a predicate, and we have, once again, if you read it all together, the original home was Kezar Stadium in Golden Gate Park. We have a complete thought. So we actually have 2 sentences here, which is why without that period because a very common fix I see people try to use with run-on sentences is just putting a comma in between the two sentences. They feel like they don't want to end it, but they don't want it to keep going too quickly, so they throw a comma in there. Now, what this is called it's called a comma splice error. Splice, think splitting. You're splitting your sentence with a comma, and to me it's like a cheap shortcut attempt at fixing something. It's like putting duct tape on your sentence instead of actually fixing it. This does not fix the sentence. This just creates a comma splice. Now, when you have a comma splice or a run-on, there are 3 typical ways that you would fix this problem, and that's what I've listed down below here. So, the first way, I'm going to go back to I guess I'll do a light green. The first way you fix a comma splice or a run-on is pretty straightforward. You put a period and a capital in between each sentence, just like we did up here. We fixed it right there. The second way is to put a semicolon in between each sentence. People don't think to do that, but you can do that. You can put a semicolon right in between 2 sentences, so long as they are related in topic. Both of these sentences are about the 49ers, so they can be split with a semicolon. If your first sentence was about the San Francisco 49ers and your second sentence was about Pizza Hut, you're going to have a hard time using a semicolon effectively, but because these are related, a semicolon actually works. A lot of people are afraid to use a semicolon because they think it's this mysterious, complicated piece of grammar, but it's used to separate 2 simple sentences that are related in topic. So don't be afraid to use that. Okay, and then finally, we've got turn the 2 sentences into a compound sentence, and this is where we're going today. We're going to look into compound sentences a little bit. If you don't remember what these are, because it's been a million years since you were in elementary school, that's okay. I'm curious if you can remember your fanboys. But let's jump into this. So, compound sentences. Have you met the fanboys? Let's get into this. My goal today is for us to learn how to avoid run-ons or comma splice errors. How to connect simple sentences into a larger thought. So how to take those 2 simple sentences and instead of throwing a comma between them, actually combining them in a way that makes them grammatically correct. And then how to correctly assemble compound sentences. Can you make a compound sentence effectively? So I want you to start by taking a look at this example here. This is from Holes, by the way. Pathetically enough, I've never read Holes, and I've never watched the movie either. I heard great things, but I remember when this movie was in theaters. Terminator 3 was also in theaters, and I chose to go see Terminator 3 with my dad and brother, and my sister and mom went to go see Holes. So, I don't know. Anyways, here's a sentence from the book. Stanley would have laughed, but he didn't have the strength. Okay. Remember, we're talking compound sentences here, so I'm seeing something that we've seen before. I'm seeing 2 complete thoughts with a comma between them. We've got our subject, Stanley, would have laughed. Oops, I triggered the eraser somehow. Subject, Stanley, would have laughed is the predicate. But notice there's this comma there. Now a comma splice is a no-no. Unless you pair it up I call them FANBOYS just because it's a good acronym. But then it's followed by a second complete thought. Subject, he didn't have the strength. Predicate. Okay, so this is a compound sentence through and through. And here it is broken down. Stanley would have laughed. That's one thought, comma, but he didn't have the strength. Okay, now I ask down here, why is it color-coded this way? Well, as you can tell, we have two complete thoughts. But notice this conjunction is not green or blue. It's its own color because it's really just a connecting piece. I'm trying to think of a good comparison or metaphor for it, but it's the, I don't know. It's just a connecting piece. So it connects the two thoughts together in a way that it should. So a simple or a compound sentence can be broken into two simple sentences. This is a smart way to test and see if you have a compound sentence. So if you don't know if you have a compound sentence, just delete the comma and the conjunction and see if it still works. And as we already know, these still work, and they're both complete thoughts. So we know that, yeah, these work on their own, and they work when we combine them with the coordinating conjunction. Okay. So there it is one more time, just in full view. Sentence 1, conjunction. Sentence 2. Now, I'm curious. This is something that's helpful when you're trying to write effectively, but it's to memorize what FANBOYS stands for. The FANBOYS are your coordinating conjunctions, and they are essentially your go-tos for connecting your simple sentences. They're all used in different ways, depending on which one you want, what you're trying to say in your sentence. But they're all extremely useful. So if you don't know them, we've got, well, let's see, they're on the next slide. We've got for and nor, fan, but or yet so, boys. For and nor, but or yet so. Now when I try to get people to remember these, it helps to just kind of, when you're trying to memorize them, it helps to just think of them as one big long word. So I often say for and nor, but or yet so. That's the word, for and nor, but or yet so. And that seems to help people think of it as just one weird word that doesn't make any sense. For and nor, but or yet so. Now, the way you make a compound sentence is to have a simple sentence, followed by a comma, followed by a FANBOY, otherwise known as a coordinating conjunction, and then your second simple sentence. Combine that, and you've got everything you need. So, let's put this to the test a few times. I have a few pictures I'd like us to write some sentences for. So, I'm going to go back to my notes and number him. Oops. I'm going to number, actually, focus on so first. Now, I don't know a lot about soccer, or football, I should say. I don't know a lot about football. I don't watch it, never played it. So maybe my sentence should be about that, I guess. So I gotta think about making a complete sentence on both sides. I have never played football. I'll put soccer in parentheses. I have never played football in my lifetime. So, comma, so. Don't forget the comma, so. I'm actually going to highlight that. We'll do bright blue. So, I don't know much about it. I have never played soccer in my lifetime, so I don't know much about it. Okay. Now when looking at this, I have my subject. Have never played is my predicate. In my lifetime is actually a prepositional phrase, so we don't typically look at those, but that's not the point. So we have our subject, have never played football, is our predicate, and it makes sense if I read it by itself. So if I cross off this, does the sentence still make sense? So I have never played football in my lifetime. That's a complete thought. It has a subject and a predicate, so I know the first part of my sentence is good to go. So I throw in my comma and my fanboy, my conjunction. And then on this side, I have to create another sentence. So let's see if I did that correctly. I've got my subject, I don't know much about it, is the predicate. And it's a complete thought. If you get rid of all of this, I don't know much about it. It's kind of vague, but it does work grammatically, so it is a complete thought. So we're looking good here. We've got our sentence, we've got our second sentence, and we've got our comma fanboy. That is a compound sentence. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay. Second one. We've got a turtle here. Don't know which species. Some sort of just a cute little turtle. We are going to use the conjunction but for this one. So this time it's all about the but. Okay. It has to be about turtles. Let's see here. Okay, so I don't know if this is true. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but something I've heard about turtles is that they're pretty smelly to have as pets. Like they reek. Maybe that's just people who don't take care of them properly. I don't know, but I've heard they're pretty smelly. So I think I'll talk about that. I've always, actually, I'm going to avoid using the pronoun I all the time. Let's try third person. Surely, whoever Shirley always wanted a pet turtle. But she's heard that they can be quite smelly. Okay. As per usual, we've got sentence 1 right here. Subject: Shirley always wanted a pet turtle. Predicate: we've got our conjunction. Then our next sentence: she has heard. Well, actually, the subject might be they. This is where I might be a little rusty here. They can be quite smelly. She heard that about them. So she might be the object in the sentence, not the subject. They might be the subject. They can be quite smelly. There's your predicate. Regardless, we have 2 sentences with subjects and predicates, but combined by a conjunction. Okay, let's try the next one here. Sailboat. How nice. Using the conjunction and. Okay. Let's give it a shot. So using the conjunction and. Let's see. Sailing can be a time-consuming hobby. And then we've got our conjunction, comma, and I've noticed it can be relatively expensive too. Sailing can be a time-consuming hobby, and I've noticed it can be relatively expensive too. Sentence 1, sentence 2, comma, conjunction in between. It's not meant to be difficult, it's just meant to be followed. Okay, now this is the most difficult of the conjunctions for people. They don't understand how to use it best. So, understand with nor, you're sort of presenting a negative. And one of the best ways to present it in a sentence is kind of typically when you have a negative in your first simple sentence and a negative in your second simple sentence. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So let's do nor. I don't know what your thoughts are on places like McDonald's. I'm not the biggest fan of McDonald's. It's honestly, it's never been high quality. And now the prices are getting worse than they ever have been, so you're paying more for still pretty low quality. But I'll try to use that in my sentence. I don't enjoy eating out at McDonald's two sentences, but they're both presenting sort of a negative, right? I don't enjoy this, nor do I appreciate that. It doesn't make sense to say something like, I like McDonald's, nor do I like the chicken nuggets. And I've seen stuff like that before. They think it means like, but in a lot of ways. I like McDonald's, but I don't like the chicken nuggets. It can't be used the same way as but. Okay. We've done 4 of them. We got 3 more. Do I have a second page? Let's see. Pull to add page. There we go. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Good old Oppenheimer. I don't know if you've seen this movie yet. I saw it in theaters once. I'm seeing it at theaters again pretty soon here this weekend. I liked it. I don't know if it's as good as everyone's saying it is. I like Christopher Nolan movies a lot. I like his style. Although I felt like in this movie, even though it was 3 hours long, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't like spoilers at all. I despise them. Even though it was 3 hours long, it still felt like it was rushing itself in every scene. So, just a little too fast-paced, I felt. Still good. I still liked it a lot. But anyways, let's use the fanboy, the conjunction, for about Oppenheimer. Oops, not the color I'm going for. Let's be consistent. Now, if you know anything about Oppenheimer, you know the way he dealt with what he accomplished was mixed, and you can imagine being someone who developed the first atomic weapons. You're going to look at the future a bit bleak, in a bit of a bleak fashion, because you've unleashed this power on the earth, and you might feel responsible for a lot of horrible things that happen in the future. Even the bombing of Japan, right, was definitely, I would assume, hard on him, even though it did serve its purpose in ending the war. So I'm going to try and tap into that a bit. Make sure I spell his name correctly. Let's see. Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer grew to, what's the word I want to use? I don't know if regret's the right word. He grew to despise isn't the right word either. He grew to Oppenheimer grew to I'll pat it a bit. He grew to, in some ways, regret his contributions to the atomic bomb production. Oppenheimer grew to, in some ways, I should have my apostrophe, my commas between that. Oppenheimer grew to, in some ways, regret his contributions to the atomic bomb production. more so regrets or is afraid of the future beyond that with atomic bombs. But anyways, there's that one. I think we got 2 more to do. There we go. Good old Pepsi. I don't drink soda anymore. I've really tried to avoid it. It's just, I don't know, not that good for you, and kind of feel like crap after you drink it, but I'm sure it's tasty in the moment. So let's try to write an sentence inspired by Pepsi or soda in general. Should do it. So, but using the fanboy, the conjunction, or, and this is where I want to outline a very common mistake I see with people using this conjunction. I will write the sentence and I'll tell you why it's wrong. Let's see, let's bring Billy into this. Billy could really go for a Pepsi. Be consistent. Or a Coke. Now, believe it or not, I've seen this. Billy could really go for a Pepsi or a Coke. It's important to note that even though these words are conjunctions and they're used to combine sentences, it doesn't mean that that's their only purpose. Now, the reason this one's wrong is because, as you can clearly see on the left side of the comma, we've got subject Billy could really go for a Pepsi is our predicate, and it makes sense. That's a complete thought. Then we've got our comma conjunction, and then we've got a Coke, which is a subject, potentially, but there's no predicate, and it's not a complete thought. So we don't have sentence 1 and sentence 2. We've got sentence 1, and then we call this a fragment, which is a piece of a sentence. So this is not a proper usage of comma fanboy. In fact, we don't need the comma at all. This is literally just a 2-object list. You don't need a comma there, Pepsi or a Coke. Let's modify this to make more sense for what an actual compound sentence would look like. So it should be something more like Billy could really go for a Pepsi or if they didn't have any, he would gladly take a Coke. Billy could really go for a Pepsi. Oh, I forgot to let's fix that before we talk about it. Billy could really go for a Pepsi, comma, fanboy, or if they didn't have any, he would gladly take a Coke. Now, in language arts, if you have, and this is off topic, but I'm going to bring it up anyways because you see all these extra commas here. Language charts, if you have something you want to interject into the sentence, you can do that, but you typically offset it by commas, and I believe it's called an appositive phrase. So what I mean by that is, the if they didn't have any piece is not required for this sentence to work. I could easily say, if I just delete this, just scribble it out. If I delete that, Billy could really go for a Pepsi, or he would gladly take a Coke. That technically is the compound sentence, but I felt it needed more context, so I included this little interjection, and I set it off with these two commas. Billy could really go for a Pepsi, comma, or if they didn't have any, he would gladly take a Coke. So it's still a compound sentence, but it includes a positive phrase. I'm pretty sure that's what that would be called. So, anyways, don't do this one. This is what you want, something kind of like that. Okay, we have one more fanboy left, which is yet another challenging one. This one, yeah, it gives people a little trouble. We'll go over an example or two. Let's do one about Halloween. It's not anytime soon, but it is technically the nearest, at least in the States, the next big holiday. Am I missing something? August and September. I think we have Labor Day, but that's not really a big holiday. I think Labor Day is in September. So I think this is the next big one. So we'll write our sentence about trick-or-treating and Halloween. Oh my gosh, I keep dropping the pen. Okay, so yet, that's not the color I want. Yet is oftentimes a good replacement for the fanboy but. It's like a fancier, more proper way to say but. It doesn't work perfectly. You can't exchange it every time, but it can oftentimes be used instead of the word but. So let's see. I don't know how much it takes out of someone to go trick-or-treating, but I remember as a kid, running from house to house, using up tons of energy to get everywhere, because you want to get as much candy as possible. So I think my sentence will be about that a bit. I ate a massive dinner in preparation for a long night of trick-or-treating. And now I can put in my comma yet. I still feel like I don't have any energy. I ate a massive dinner in preparation for a long night of trick-or-treating, comma, yet I still feel like I don't have enough energy. Have any energy. That's a problem. Sentence 1, sentence 2, fanboy. Okay, so, the pattern is exactly the same in all of these instances, right? We're using a sentence, we're following it up with a comma, including our conjunction, then the next sentence obviously a period at the end. The comma is imperative, and it's also imperative that it comes before the conjunction, not after. You don't put the comma over here, which I've also seen. It stays on this side. Okay, I don't know what else there is. Let's see. We've gone through all of the different conjunctions. Let's see. So, down here we have a sentence. It says include modifiers, adjectives, adverbs, and prepositional phrases to add more detail to two of your sentences. We're not going to do that. Instead, I just want to explain the example down here. First of all, adjectives are one-word descriptive words. The blue car, the nervous deer, the vibrant flower. Okay, those are adjectives. Adverbs help describe a verb. They both start with ad, and that can help. They help us understand these are descriptive terms. So instead of saying I ran, well, how did you run? Oh, quickly. So adverbs oftentimes end in ly. I ran quickly. I spoke loudly. I viciously opened my present. I thankfully got out of the way. I don't know. And then prepositions indicate like direction or location. I was under the bed, in the garage, over the rainbow, within the house, without a paddle. They represent state of being, location, those types of things. And the preposition is just the word. Under, over, in, out, within, without, before, after. These are all prepositions, but the phrase is what comes after it too. Under the bed, within the house, before the car entered the driveway. I don't know. So anyways, down here, if I saw this sentence, I like to play volleyball. Subject. Like is our verb. Like to play volleyball is our predicate, the verb phrase. We've got our comma and our conjunction. We're using the fanboy and. Subject. I. The verb is enjoy, but enjoy running is the predicate. So we know that this is a serviceable compound sentence. Right? It's got everything it needs grammatically, but it could always be improved to be more exciting. So if we were to revise that, I like to play competitive volleyball. There's our adjective. In a 4-person women's league in the fall. This is actually 2 prepositional phrases. In a 4-person women's league is 1 prepositional phrase. In the fall is another prepositional phrase. And there's our comma conjunction. We didn't forget it. It's still there. It's separating sentence 1 from sentence 2. And now let's see how we modified sentence 2. I enjoy. What kind of running? Oh, trail running. Another adjective. In the woods. Prepositional phrase. On a cool summer morning. Prepositional phrase. Now, cool and summer could be adjectives, right? So, this sentence is much better, but they both technically work. It's all about utilizing your ability to include other grammatical pieces of the puzzle without compromising the flow and the grammar itself, right? You gotta make it work. Okay. So, a couple lasting questions just to consider. Are there 2 complete sentences with a subject and a verb on each side of the fanboys? if your sentence has those, if your sentence goes sentence, comma, fanboy, oops. Sentence, comma, fanboys, sentence, and then period, then you're good. Is there a comma and one of the fanboys joining the two sentences, it is imperative that this part is not ignored. You need the comma and the conjunction. I don't know why I circled just the A, all of this. That cannot be ignored. You need that to combine these. If you don't use this, and you only use a comma, sentence, comma, sentence equals comma splice, which is bad. Sentence, sentence with nothing in between them equals run-on sentence, which is bad. Sentence, comma, fanboys, sentence, period, equals a compound sentence, which is good. Okay. So, it's very important that you get that structure and remember it. So, again, just a few lasting questions. What does a compound sentence actually do? Well, we know that it combines two thoughts that are relatively on the same topic, right? Don't forget you can use a semicolon, or you can use a comma fanboy. Or if you don't feel like any of that, you could just technically have a sentence with a period and then another sentence with a period. Right? Like if you don't want to deal with the semicolon or the comma fanboy. This works, but it gets pretty boring to read something where every sentence is a simple sentence and it just has a period after every sentence. This makes you seem fancy, but don't overuse it. Nobody's that fancy. It gets a bit pretentious when people use a million semicolons in their writing. This goes under the radar when you use it correctly, and honestly, that's kind of what you want. You want people to just enjoy the writing. It flows, it makes sense, it works, it's connected. This will achieve that. This gets robotic, and it's a lot of starting and stopping. This, if you use it too much, becomes just, I don't know, it loses its oomph. But this, if used correctly, people just enjoy your writing, hopefully. There's nothing standing out in a negative way. Okay. So, anyways, I don't know why I wanted to talk about this. It just felt like something I see a lot online and figured it'd be worth communicating about. So, I don't know if you knew that, I don't know if you feel good about this stuff anyways, but hey, I like refreshers on grammar stuff because grammar is evil sometimes, and that's about it, I guess. So, thank you very much for joining me for this very random trip into grammar, and I'll see ya for the next lesson.